Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a story or a post titled, My Wife Wants to Have a Baby in Our 40s, and I Do Not. And a big shout out to Hero for sending me this story. And guys, this story here, this is definitely an interesting situation. Like I said, this is a guy in his 40s. He's actually 42, his wife is 41. They've been together or married for 20 years. Because, wait for it, she got pregnant when they were in high school together. At the time, I think she was right before she turned 17, so she was 16, he was 18. And he married her. And they raised a son together and all that. And now the son is out of the house. He got married recently, had a kid. And now his wife, all of a sudden, wants to have another baby. And this guy's like, oh, hell no. Because he pretty much never had a childhood, never got to be a teenager and go through all that in his teens and 20s. And he was a responsible father, took care of the kid and all that. And I'm guessing they had a pretty good marriage up until this point. And so they are at a crossroads because she wants to do a major life-altering thing, have another kid. And he says, And can you take a wild guess how she's handling him saying no? Not too well. And she's using the one thing that women can always do to get even with a guy and have power over him. It's called SEX, or lack of SEX. And you can see how she went from being quite freaky and active in that department to like, whoosh, you're not going to give me a baby? You're not getting any, amongst many other things. And that'd be a good one to go over here, guys, because when you reach the point in any relationship, whether you're just a guy and a gal in a relationship, or if you're engaged or even married, and you reach a point that you are at a crossroads. You want one thing, she absolutely wants the exact opposite, or something along those lines that could change your life completely. There's a point where if you cannot agree, and it's that big, you really have to look at options on parting ways, even if you've been together for a long time, because otherwise it's not going to go well. And you're going to see here how she makes him out to be the bad guy, of course, in this whole thing. And also in a situation like this, she could find other ways to make sure she gets pregnant and has a baby. So there are times when a guy has to really think about walking away and ending things, because it's just not going to go well going forward. But real quick, before I go through the story, I want to read a quick email I got from a guy, real quick, take a minute, about a recent experience he had on a dating app, a Bumble. And this only goes to show you about women and hypergamy and guys making money and all that, real quick. He says here, hello SSM. I just completed an experiment over the last week or so. I created a profile on Bumble. He says ladies have to make the first move on that app. Fairly generic. I mentioned that I was 6 feet tall and made decent money. A couple of slightly fuzzy pictures, and I posted it. I swiped right on every profile presented to me. 2 days later, not one response. Not one response, and he made it clear he's over 6 feet tall and made decent money. I then copied the profile under a different name and added one sentence to this profile. And in the sentence he said, luckily I got to keep the little lake house and my Benz after the divorce. I posted it. I did not swipe a single profile. I came back 2 hours later and I had 35 likes. Love your channel. There you go. Got a little more details. He's got the Benz. He got the lake house, and all of a sudden 35 likes. Not that anybody's surprised. Okay, on to the main story here. He says here, I, a 42-year-old male, have been married to my wife, a 41-year-old female, for 20 years. We've been together since high school. Our son was born when she was 16 and I was 18. Totally unplanned and turned our worlds upside down. But I think we can both agree that our son is the best thing that has ever happened to us, and despite how difficult it was at the time, I wouldn't change how any of it happened now. Okay. Sounds like everything worked out. Until our son, who's 24, and his wife just had their first baby in November. A few weeks after they announced the pregnancy, my wife started subtly making mention of how much she missed having a baby around, how cute little kids are, how different it'd be if we were to do it again at our current ages. I figured she was just really looking forward to a grandchild, somebody she could buy things for and play with, and then hand them back to the mom and dad at the end of the day. After a few weeks of the subtle hinting, she asked me if I'd consider having another baby now. Apparently, she regrets never having another one. He's our child, FYI. Another one, after all those years, in your 40s, when this guy's probably thinking, thank the Lord, I'm finally done. I can finally start doing what I want to do most of the time and never have to go through all that again, and then going through the whole thing all over again. Sure, it can be done, but Ah, he says, I was honest and told her no. I don't want to start over with another baby in my 40s. Our kid is 24 and has a baby of his own. We didn't have any more children years ago when we were younger because we spent the first 10 years of our life trying to get by and then to eventually catch up to our peers. It took us a little longer to finish college, to buy our first home, etc., but we got there eventually. Having a kid so young made us get serious about things like real jobs and motivate us to try and advance in our careers as much and quickly as possible than we probably would have otherwise. That's impressive for both of them. They had to grow up overnight. Did what they had to do to finish their degrees, move up in their careers, be smart with money, the house, all that. So yeah, they didn't have another kid because maybe they're at this point they want to actually enjoy themselves. But nope. But you're going to see, and I definitely suspect that there's more going on behind the scenes emotionally with her than just simply as she's putting it. My wife has gone back and gotten 2 more degrees over the years. There's a stereotype. What the hell does she need 2 more degrees for? Eventually, once our son was about 10 to 12 years old, we talked about it and decided we were happy with the way things were and didn't want to start over the baby at that point. I'm proud to say that we worked so hard and planned so well that we're now in a much better position than most of our friends are at our age. And while most of our friends still have young kids at home, ours is grown up and doing well, and we are young enough to be able to enjoy all that we've worked for. Yeah, that makes sense. Notice he's thinking logically. She's thinking emotionally. I just think that kid has been her purpose, her real purpose all these years. Now she doesn't have that purpose anymore. Now she needs a new purpose. The kid, another kid. To me, this should be our time to finally enjoy ourselves, go on vacations, just the 2 of us, to buy ourselves a few nice things, to have adult-only time all the time. To my wife, I am being a selfish a-hole who won't consider her feelings. She hasn't been talking about having a baby for years or anything like that, mind you. She starts talking about how out of the blue, and suddenly I'm the bad guy because I don't want to have a baby now. You're not the bad guy. You're allowed to not want that. Now, if indeed she truly wants that, then you guys are at a crossroads. You're at an impasse, and it's not going to work out going forward. You know, he stayed with her, mind you, right? He didn't have to marry her when she got pregnant. I mean, a lot of people might be like, SSM, how dare you? I'm serious. He could have provided, if that was indeed his kid, let's assume it is his kid, he certainly could have provided financially and split up the time together. He didn't have to marry her, but he did. And they worked hard and made sacrifices. So now they're in a position financially that they're good, and he can enjoy himself. That's what he wants. He doesn't want to do this all over again. So he's not the a-hole here. He goes on, he says, and that's how it started. She then practically refused to have sex with me for 3 months because I wouldn't give her a baby. Okay, well, if we're not hooking up and you're going to do this to me, well, then I guess I'm allowed to get it someplace else. Or we're not going to work out. Before this, our sex life was good, often spontaneous, varied, and she initiated probably 30% of the time. There was definitely a big boost to our sex life about 4 years ago when our son was basically completely out of the house. My wife started working out more, taking more time for herself, and her libido really seemed to increase, and I wasn't about to complain. So this was all still going on until the baby talk. Now she just mopes around and avoids most physical interactions with me. She still has the sex drive because she still pleasures herself regularly. She tells me she's doing it and is punishing me. She's flat telling, oh, by the way, I was watching that video the other night, and I had my vibrating toy assisting me. What an asshole. And he thought she was the great wife and cool and all that. She's acting like a freaking child. The times where she agreed to actually have sex, it seems to be going great, but then she'll ask if I'll give her a baby, or some similar comment, and I say no, and then she gets mad at me. A few times, I actually just played along with it so she wouldn't get mad and stop right before he reached the best part. So they're fooling around right before the best part happens, and she brings up the baby thing, and he says no, and then she just walks away, blue balls. You want to talk about game playing, manipulation? But anymore, I don't even want to have sex with her because she's going to bring it up midway through the action, and honestly, it's a total mood killer for me. Yeah, well, I wouldn't put it past her to poke holes in the condoms, use condoms, go off the birth control if that's what she was doing. Recently, she had a health scare, which eventually turned out to be nothing, thankfully. She became more like her regular self for a while after that. I was almost at the point of agreeing to another baby because she had managed to make me feel so bad about it, and in my mind, I made all sorts of negotiations like, please, just let her not be dying of a fatal disease, and I'll give her the baby she wants. Smack! No, it's not what you really want, and it's not fair to the kid, by the way, to be born in a household that he wasn't wanted. I mean, really not wanted. The health scare shocked her and put her off of the baby idea for almost a month afterwards. She said she was over it and too old. I was relieved. Then it started again. The constant talk about babies being peppered into our daily conversations. The refusing of SEX's blackmail technique. I do still love her very much, but this baby issue is driving a giant wedge between us. The people who know about it I told months ago that the people who know about it told me months ago that she'll get over it, that she'd meet her new grandchild and be soon over the moon about being a grandma, that she totally forget about wanting to be a mom with a newborn. Nope, that's not happening at all. And she loves the baby, but it only made her want one even more. Oh, great. I think it's time this guy sits down and has a serious talk with her and says, listen, we've been together all these years. We've had a great thing. In spite of all the challenges, we've been through so much together, raised a great son together. But this is not what I want. And if this is not going to happen, if this is how things are going to be between us now, then we're going to have to part ways. And yeah, he'll take the hit financially, but you know what? It's better than staying with her, treating him like this. Okay? He needs to show strength here and take charge. And if there's no change in her mind, or she's just going to act like an a-hole for the rest of their marriage, you part ways. He doesn't want this, obviously, but does he want to be living with that? No. She does stay in her lane as grandma. She knows it's their baby and she's not the parent. She's not a nutcase who wants to abduct her grandchild or tell her son and daughter-in-law how to raise their child. I feel like I had to make this clear. She seems perfectly fine mentally, and I don't believe she's having any sort of mental or emotional problems bringing this desire one. Something some people suggested, but no, I really don't think so. I'd like to know if anyone sees a way where we can meet in the middle and both find a way to be happy here, but I really don't think that there's a way to compromise when it comes to this situation. Hey, get a dog. Let her love that dog. Or get a cat. Or something. I'm about at the point where I'm going to give in and agree to have another kid because I don't want to continue on the way things have been going, and I also don't want to hear her hold this against me for the rest of our lives. Then don't give in. Don't let this her hold this over in you. But if you cave here, she's going to know that communicates to her that she wins. That if she punishes you enough and manipulates you and pulls all this bullshit, eventually she'll get her way. No. Someone that truly loves you wouldn't pull this type of shit. Okay? Remember, women are repelled by weakness. Okay? And by you give in, that's weakness. You need to show strength. I should be very happy, and I know that if we had another kid, I'd love him or her, even if I did not. That's how I pictured the time of my life. So I'm asking some internet strangers to tell me what you would do here. You're asking me what I would do? Well, I wouldn't be in this situation, but okay, fair enough. I would sit her down and pretty much say, look, like I said earlier, we had this great life together. We raised this amazing son. You have the grandchild, And yes, I know I'm speaking logically to her emotional mind, 2 languages, but bear with me here. But bear with me, but here's the point. This is not what I want. This is not what I signed up for. End of story. And if this is something you absolutely need, okay, well, I can't change that, but we can't be together anymore. So you can choose to have the child, but you can't have me as your husband as well. So if you want a divorce, then we're going to have to divorce. End of story. He needs to take charge. He needs to lead. He needs to lay down the law. End of story. Because, and simply put it, but I'm not going to stay married in a marriage with you where you're going to pretty much hold the SEX from me and essentially punish me for not giving you what you want. That is not how I'm going to be married. So if we're going to be married still, it's not going to happen, and you're going to cut this bullshit right now. If not, then you need to speak to an attorney. I'll speak to an attorney, and that's that. We're moving on. We're separating. But he cannot give in to her because it's not what he wants, and it's not fair to him. It's not fair to that future kid, and it's just not right. And also, he can't stay in a marriage with her. She keeps pulling this bullshit. But even then, he still has to be on his guard because she could agree, right? And then just go back to being her old self, but secretly plotting to poke holes in his protection, or I'm back on the pill, or maybe a year from there, when he was least suspecting it, oh, I got pregnant. Or could go so far as, if depending on who she is, she's pregnant with the UPS or FedEx driver's kid. You just never know. So At the very least, he needs to lay down the law, sit down and talk to her and say, look, this is not going to happen, and this, and this. Or irreconcilable differences. You reached a point in your life, you're in your mid-40s, you're in your early 40s, it's not going to work. I mean, this guy's younger than me, for Christ's sake. And I think I'm young. So, and it doesn't work out, hey, he's 42. He's got plenty of good life left in him, and he'll be all right. And if he gets hit in a divorce, he'll survive. But better being divorced and being hit financially a bit, which a man can rebuild, and we all know we can rebuild, than have to endure a marriage being trapped in a situation like this. It's not worth it. A lot of people disagree with me, but that's their business, but that's what I think. Now, a few comments to show that I'm not alone in my thinking here. One guy says here, that she suddenly wants a baby in her 40s is not the concerning bit. The concerning bit is the emotional blackmail, withholding of affection, and blaming that she's doing what she's doing to coerce you into changing your mind. Maybe you had a fantastic relationship before, but right now your relationship does not sound healthy. There's no respectful, loving discussions about your different views and wants and needs going on here. I think bringing a kid into the world so your wife stops treating you like shit is not sound decision making. I agree. She's just wearing him down. And if he agrees to that, what else is she going to be next when she wants something? And figures, I can just withhold the SCX, I can be a pain in the ass, and I'll get my way on that one. Think about it. Now the guy says here, I like how the OP is supposedly the selfish a-hole, but yet not his wife or the reproductive coercion. She's essentially trying to force OP's hand and just to make peace. He is possibly willing to go along with it. Yuck. Babies do not fix marriage problems. I think you should know this by now, OP. You need a baby to get your wife to act like a wife to you. That's a big yikes. Do not give in or reinforce the behaviors of the OP. It's one baby now, but what if she blackmails you into having 3 more? Because you just want things the way they were. Yeah, that's what I said. You give in now, what else is she going to try to get over you later on? And again, women don't respect weakness. And a lot of times in these stories, as you all have heard, women will punish guys when they act weak. And they'll keep hammering them until the guy finally grows a pair, lays down the law, and stands up to her. And for the 4% of my female followers out there, you fucking know what I'm talking about, if you're honest. Is I'd be worried about her accidentally tampering or trying to get herself pregnant purposely. Ding, ding, ding. I don't even see how you could want to have, with someone trying to do this, even if you do love them. I wouldn't trust her. Oh, hell no. Another guy says here, I think having a baby is hard, no, unless both parents agree. If you're 100% against the idea, then there is nothing to discuss after saying no. If she is punishing you, this has nothing to do with the baby's idea. The punishing only impacts whether or not the marriage will continue. On the other hand, there is absolutely nothing wrong with people of your ages having a baby, but only if both parents agree. She also has the opinion of getting a divorce and marrying someone else to have the baby with, but time is running out. Or she might go crazy and cheat to get pregnant. Yeah, that too. Last one, this guy says, he also says, she's going to spend the next 30 years bringing this up and complaining and blaming you for not agreeing to have another baby. They might as well end the marriage now instead of suffering through that. Yeah, does he really want to spend the next Lord knows how many years, decades with her and dealing with this shit? The best thing you can do, lay down the law. Sit her down, be straight with it, and if this is how it's going to be, then okay, then we're breaking up. We're getting a divorce. Strength, not weakness. You do not appease a bully. All makes things worse. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below what you think about this. Guys, anybody here ever been in a situation like that, where your wife or girlfriend or whatever was pressuring you to having a kid that you didn't want and all that, and how'd that work out? Did you cave, be honest, or did you lay down the law? I'd like to hear about that. Be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.